Morning all, welcome to some Dust. It is the 7th of June and we just finished, actually last night, we did a 4-hour challenge stream, which you'll probably start to see coming through. It's worth having a look at these little challenges actually, because they are quite fun. Made the game a lot more interesting for me, certainly. But I've literally just rolled out of my terrible, stinking hobbit hole, and that's not a metaphor, by the way. And I thought I need to do a video pretty quick, because I realised I've got none for today. It's been an interesting week in the old Dust world of things. Lots of interesting stuff to go on with CPM, because obviously that seems to be the topic of the day at the moment. I think I actually posted in the council chambers, would you believe? I know, that's a rarity for myself. I don't not like the CPM thing. I think people seem to think I do, but I honestly don't. I think it's a good idea. Well, let me just moderate that statement. People seem to think I really don't want a CPM. I think we do need it. I think as Dust winds its way towards the intensive care unit, and then the beep machine is then eventually the button on off is looked at with critical appraisal. I think we do need a CPM1 because a little bit more so to kind of keep CCP in check as well, because obviously they're going to look at this in quite a cold, hard light. So we would like to see an orderly transition from one regime to the next, is in essence what I'm talking about. And I made a post because don't get me wrong, it seems that if I fart in the wrong place, people seem to think that I'm having a go or it's a major deal. I'm nobody, seriously, and people think I'm trolling when I say that. I'm nobody. I do videos for this game. So I think people will maybe slightly overreacted with my statement. It wasn't aimed at anyone. It was more of a kind of statement of intent. And my statement was quite simply put that, if you're going to be CPM, you need to be absolutely, the term here is whiter than white. That means clean, no stains on you, you're clean, you're absolutely, ethical and for the people, of the people, blah, blah, blah. And it comes from, I used the really good old metaphor, that is the police force in London in the 70s was corrupt. It was pretty terrible, in fact. It was very corrupt. And I think the reason I use that metaphor is because when they reformed it, they just said, every policeman has to be 100% ethical and trustworthy. Even the stink of something amiss is enough for that policeman's career to be over. And that's kind of what I was saying with the CPM1, is that, let's face it, CPM, the concept has had a bit of a kick in the balls over the period of CPM0. No fault from the people running it themselves. It's just been a very difficult, I think, project to really gain credibility. And it's a shame because it really needs it. It is a great concept and it is a great group of people and project. So I think really it's just the fact that it never really gained momentum. I could probably blame myself a little bit here as well for that, because I guess I was skeptical for many months about its sincerity. Obviously, I was wrong in that, and CCP Saberwing, who is just an absolute pinnacle for this community, proved me wrong, and I'm big enough to accept that I was wrong on that. So this is why I think CPM1 is very good, and I think my post maybe was read out of context when I said the thing about private channels and things like that. I mean, to be honest, I know nothing's going on, there's nothing amiss, but people seem to think that because we shine a light on it, that then they need to react. They didn't. The best response they could have been now was nothing's going on, chill. And that would have been, okay, no problem. But instead, it was a bit of an overreaction to create then another Skype channel with like everybody in the universe in it. And it was just a bit, to be honest, I can see that they obviously acted with the best interests of transparency and open-mindedness. So it's difficult to be angry at that, or it's difficult to even flame that. But I think, to be honest, everybody's going to be critical of what you do. I learned this when I started doing YouTube, is that, I started doing YouTube with the thought of, well, fuck it, I'm going to play my games and put my footage up, and if people don't like it, they can go piss off. And the reality is that's actually very short-sighted, because you're kind of, I guess, you're enjoying a hobby that others enjoy, so they come to enjoy their hobby by watching you enjoy yours. So if I sit here and I go blah 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 CPM, bleh, dust shit, bleh, blah, then that's just going to make people unhappy. So you do have to kind of accept that, every word you say, every move you make, I'll be watching you, and that's not a million miles wrong. So anyway, that's kind of what happened this week with regards to CPM. I think it's looking good. Some really good candidates. There's some there's some interesting I guess topics to cover. But for me, I think I'm not. People seem to really worry that I'm going to troll them or something. I'm not, honest. It's incredible. I'm going to be careful with what I say here. Please don't think I'm being arrogant. But it's incredible the power you have if people listen to your words. I mean, I know it's obvious, but I've always just played this game and given you my thoughts, but I don't really think my thoughts are right. I think my thoughts are mostly relatively wrong, actually, because I only play the game for what I play it for. I mean, some people who play PC and nothing but PC probably watch this channel and don't get a lot of what I'm on about, because we play pub matches and things like that. So, I can totally get. Perspective is a big deal with this game. Anyway, so there we go. It's an interesting stuff. I think, if you're not involved with CPM1, go to the council chambers. I would probably have a read of that. I think if you're going to get involved with it, I would say read the white paper. The white paper that has been given, I think, is actually quite important, because there still seems to be a little bit of miscomprehension over what the CPM will actually do. So a lot of people have been saying to me, I'm going to run on this ticket, and I'm going to be the vehicle guy, or I'm going to be the new player experience guy. And that means that when I get in, I'm going to tell CCP how it is. And to be honest, no. The way it's going to work is you're actually going to be a focus group. So they will invite you to a Skype channel, and they will invite you to meetings. And in the meetings, you will then turn up, and there will be an agenda placed in front of you. And on that agenda will be, CCP wants to talk to you about these things. Now, I'm sure you can any other business them, but you don't have necessarily the right to wave a flag and make it a priority. Do you know what I mean? So I think people need to understand that actually you're just going to be part of a process, a feedback QA process. And I think as long as you can accept that, then you might be okay. I think that was always maybe the issue with CPM 0, was maybe they expected that they're actually more of a spokesperson, when the reality is they're not. They're a focus group. It's probably worth really understanding that difference. If you don't understand the difference, then read the white paper and you'll get it. Some interesting people have joined the race. The judge has now joined the CPM race. I'm gonna obviously appraise that in another video, but I mean, for me personally, I know Judge relatively well, and I think we play relatively often, and I think he's a great choice. And I think he's what he's already done. I think is incredibly. He's got incredible balls to do what he did already, and I think it does show you that he's actually quite a credible candidate, because he did kind of say, well, look, the private channel's a bit risky, isn't it? And he did kind of originally bring that out in his in a post, and that also what I responded to. And I think that does take balls, and I think actually it was incredibly good that he did that, because you do get death by committee sometimes, and I think sometimes you need runners who aren't going to just turn around and say, well, let me tell you something, right? There are so few people in the world who actually disagree with people, right? There are so many people in the world who actually don't want to argue and upset people. And they never make it into top management. They never make it into, the board. They never make it to succeed incredibly well, because unfortunately you do have to stand your ground a bit. And I think with CPM, I don't mean to... people hate the fact that I say things like this, but I think CPM 0 was too contritious with CCP. I think, yes, they got angry and they got upset with them, but I don't think they actually professionally managed them necessarily as well as they could have. I mean no disrespect in that, because I work in this kind of thing. I know Judge works in blue chip business as well, and he we've talked many times about the fact that often when you manage and you get involved with these kind of committees, you've kind of got to be a bit of a bastard a little bit, because you've got to drive it. You've got to make sure that again, CCP are the reason that CPM1 failed. They have even cited this because people changed and Saberwing wasn't on board, and a lot wasn't there. And I think they were pretty much marginalized for quite a while. And what's needed is somebody who's going to be almost like a committee person that you get in the books and the films, is somebody who's actually going to take it to CCP and say, not in an aggressive way but in a professional way, and say, look, this is what you have asked us to do, this is the mandate you have laid out, and we are acting upon that. Therefore, you need to act in this way. So, to be honest, personally, I think the judge is a great addition. I think, we'll have a chat with him. Maybe we'll see what his thoughts are. I also think, that there's going to be some more great candidates coming through. I think it's going to be pretty awesome indeed. And I think it's interesting to see how maybe this is going to pan out, given that Dust's future is not necessarily that long. It's not necessarily that set. So, I think this is going to be quite an interesting discussion, or ride rather, for the future. So, who knows what's going to happen. So there we go. That was my last few days in Dust. I think it is still fun. I think if you've stopped playing, then, okay, fair enough. Post in the comments, tell me why. But, maybe consider having a few games as well. It isn't terrible. It's a good game still. It's fun. There's still plenty there to have fun with. And look, I ran a plasma cannon and I had an absolute blast doing it. And I got quite a few kills. How many did I get? 17. There we go. Not bad. I mean, that's pretty fun. So I think find a fit that makes you smile, find something that makes you chuckle, and just go do it, and you will have incredible fun. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.